To mirror blend shape targets is an important part of the blend shape work, but depending on the mesh, it's not a trivial process to have one side match the other. Shapes has two ways to internally find related symmetry points on the mesh used for the mirroring. Position-based mirroring is the preferred way and simply matches the mesh points by position. Since most meshes are assumed to be symmetrical to begin with, position-based mirroring is the fastest approach. However, the disadvantage is that the mesh has to be symmetrical. Therefore, a symmetry check is performed when loading a new mesh. If the mesh is not perfectly symmetrical, it's still possible to mirror blend shape targets with order-based mirroring. This tries to find related symmetry points by topology rather than position, which means that the mesh doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical when loaded. The disadvantage for order-based mirroring is that the mesh has to be only one shell. In case the mesh object consists of more than one shell, order-based mirroring is not possible. Also, order-based mirroring is a bit slower to perform than position-based. Which method the mirroring process uses can be set from the preferences. Select the Mirror tab and choose your preferred type of mirroring from the Mirror Type section. Position-based mirroring is the default for any newly loaded mesh. The mirror tolerance defines the search radius for the process when looking for symmetry points. The value gets automatically adjusted when loading a mesh and performing a symmetry check. If you have the symmetry check turned off when loading a mesh, you need to adjust this value manually. If you rather use order-based mirroring, you can set this by selecting Order-based Mirror. This performs a check on the mesh, verifying that it only consists of one shell and searches for an edge which lies on the center of the symmetry axis. This edge is important for the process to work correctly. The edge number is displayed on the button right next to Set Edge. By pressing this button, the edge will get selected and you can check which edge has been chosen. Depending on the mesh, it's possible that the edge at the symmetry center is not detected correctly. This causes any mirror action to produce an incorrect result. If this happens, please check which edge has been automatically chosen and set it to a different one if needed. In case the mesh is not fit for order-based mirroring, which can be because the mesh has multiple shells or no edge has been found which directly lies on the line of symmetry, you will receive an error and position-based mirroring is switched back on. However, if your mesh is only one shell and shapes simply fail to find an edge at the symmetry center, you can still make order-based mirroring work if it's necessary to work with asymmetrical meshes. Let's take a look at a simple example. The mesh I have in my scene has topological symmetry, meaning that the number of points is the same for the left and right side. But the right side resembles a slightly different shape than the left side. Also, all vertices at the line of symmetry are offset, causing that no edge has a zero position on the x-axis. Loading the mesh into shapes, with the symmetry check enabled, displays the expected warning that the mesh is not symmetrical. Since we don't want to alter the mesh, we cancel the dialog to restore symmetry. The mesh is now loaded into shapes, but because of the asymmetry, we know that the mirroring will fail at this point. Open the Preferences and switch to the Mirror tab. Position-based mirroring is enabled, and a tolerance value has been set based on the mesh, even though this doesn't help us in this case. When selecting Order-based Mirror, we get the error that a symmetry edge cannot be found, and position-based mirroring is turned back on, which is to be expected in this example. Go into the Component mode and select an edge at the line of symmetry. Press the Set Edge button to define the line of symmetry. The edge number will be now displayed on the right button. If you reload the mesh at a later time, order-based mirroring is now the default for this mesh.